Hey guys, LevelCap here, and today in gaming, Epic's insane growth may have come at a cost. We now have new info about Halo Infinite, Cold War's new zombies map looks epic, and much more. Yesterday, we reported on the Epic Games Store hitting 160 million users. They saw astronomical growth in 2020, adding 52 million new users thanks to giving away over 700 million copies of free games. While their growth is impressive, apparently giving away over 700 million copies of games doesn't lead to strong profits. Revenue was only up by $20 million in 2020 compared to the previous year. Now, compared to most game companies who saw both record growth and profits, Epic's end of the year results are fairly weak. That said, having the info of 160 million users on hand is a big deal. With 160 million users, Epic has a massive pool of customers to pull data from. It also looks great to publishers and developers looking for a platform that can get their games seen and played quickly. Battlefront 2 added 19 million new players when it was free to claim on the Epic Games Store. And while many of those players may never even log into the game, let alone spend any money on it, that's still millions of players who probably became new users on the Epic Games Store. The game industry is driven by retention and microtransactions these days. Epic may not be raking in record profits yet, but they're certainly setting up to become a major player in the online game retail space. The first Halo Infinite development update for 2021 just went live. It details the game's current status, what the developers are planning for its future, and much more. The good news is all of the game's launch content is in-game and being played daily. That's a good sign for fans that were worried the game would launch as an incomplete package. Rumors were suggesting 343 had split the game into multiple chunks that would release over time. Those same rumors say the game will have a campaign, traditional multiplayer, and battle royale mode. It mostly covers the progress being made to polish the game's sandbox content, i.e. weapons, vehicles, armor, and more. In that regard, the team is on the final stretch, polishing everything to get rid of the bugs and ensure a consistent visual style. Considering that was probably the weakest area of the gameplay reveal, it does sound promising. And while some fans might be disappointed by the more current weaponry look of Infinite's guns, they do look incredibly polished and realistic. 343 are promising weekly development updates leading up to the game's launch. We should know a lot more about Infinite in the next few months. Opinions about Call of Duty Cold War's multiplayer have been all over the place, but its zombies mode has been pretty universally praised as a big leap in the right direction. It's getting a new map on February 4th called Firebase Z, and the gameplay trailer for it looks epic. It's set in Vietnam and will feature multiple areas, new weapons, at least 3 new boss type enemies, and much more. Cold War's Zombies has proven to be a highly polished and more accessible version of the franchise's classic zombies mode. Its launch map, Die Machine, is solid, but it's a bit small and lacks variety. Firebase Z is going to offer way more in terms of content and exploration based on the trailer. Fans of Cold War's single-player campaign might also notice some areas of the map have been lifted directly from the Vietnam section of the story. Firebase Z isn't the only new content dropping on the 4th, however. The classic Black Ops 2 map Express is coming, as well as the new Prop Hunt map and 40-player endurance mode. CSGO's latest update made an important tweak to competitive matchmaking. A prior update removed bots from competitive matches. These bots would replace players that got kicked or disconnected from a match until they reconnected. The latest update adds a shorthand loser bonus that gives the team missing a player $1,000 after 3 consecutive round losses. You'll keep getting this bonus assuming you keep losing. This should make it a little easier to bear being down a player without massively upsetting the balance of a match in either direction. Leaked benchmarks put a rumored RTX 3080 Ti in close competition with Nvidia's super high-end RTX 3090. The leaks come from GPU Z and show a video card with 20GB of VRAM, a 320-bit bus, and the same core counts, clocks, and texture units as a 3090. The only big difference is the 3080 Ti's memory has a slightly slower clock speed. If the rumors are valid, it seems like Nvidia are taking lower bin 3090s and branding them as 3080 Ti's. The big wrench in all of this is that Nvidia reportedly canned their 3080 Ti plans due to supply issues. So while these benchmarks may be valid and the rumor may be false, there's really no telling if or when this new GPU will launch. The rumored MSRP of $1,000 is also up in the air thanks to rising memory costs and tariffs. Left 4 Dead 2's infamously censored German version has finally been uncensored. German owners of the game got a free DLC that upgrades the game to add back in all the blood, guts, and offensive content that was stripped from it at launch. The Australian version of the game was similarly censored until Valve successfully resubmitted the uncensored version for approval. Insurgency Sandstorm and spiritual doom game Proteus are both hosting mapping contests right now. Sandstorm is in the voting phase and you can weigh in on which map makes it to the final round. The developers are offering $17,000 in prizes and the map will likely be added as an official update for the game. Proteus's contest is still accepting submissions. The grand prize is worth $1,500. Both games have very robust map editors and are great for getting into map design if you've never tried it out before. All the info about submissions and voting is linked in the video description. Fallout 76 is getting a pretty major update that lets players respec their character whenever they want. The changes will be available in the next update for the game's public test server. It'll let you reassign your special points, create special loadouts, and swap perk cards by visiting punch card machines scattered around the map. You can also add the machine to your camp. The update is expected to be available for testing on February 5th. The 4v1 survival horror game Monstrum 2 just launched on Steam Early Access. It pits 4 humans against one player-controlled monster in a similar vein to other asymmetrical horror games like The Hidden and Alien vs. Predator. It looks pretty promising, even for an early access title. Hitman 3 is getting DLC, but it might not be the usual mix of new missions and maps. Unlike the past games, the developers aren't looking to add new maps. Instead, they're focusing on repurposing existing locations by tweaking their appearance and adding new contracts to complete. The move makes sense considering Hitman 3 is flush with levels to play through. Owners of the first 2 games get all of their levels in 3, which massively expands the roster of locations. Despite some issues with getting the import system working as intended on PC, Hitman 3 is basically the definitive Hitman game to play of this modern trilogy. If you're a fan of the boomer shooter revival, there's a new game on Steam that might be worth checking out. Hrot is a new retro FPS that mashes up the gameplay of Dusk with the mid-80s Soviet Union. It just launched today in early access and there's a free demo you can try out now. The early access launch includes 1 episode with 8 levels, 9 weapons, 4 boss fights, a horde mode, and more. The rest of the game is still in development but will include 2 more episodes. Before we get to our final story today, I just wanted to thank everyone for tuning in this week. We'll have our weekly news recap up tomorrow in case you missed any big stories, so be sure to tune in for that. And don't forget to leave a like or subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Glitchpunk is an upcoming game that blends the classic cyberpunk aesthetic with Grand Theft Auto 2. The gameplay looks like a blend of the original top-down action that GTA was known for, combined with the likes of Hotline Miami and Ruiner. It's due out in Q2 of this year on Steam. And that wraps it up for today in gaming. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. This is LevelCap signing off.